This
Can
conference
you
will
all see
now
the
be
screen?
recorded.
Sir, to add up with a small word, dear participants, this being an interactive session, please do post your questions in the chat box for which the trainer would immediately answer them. ఇది ఇంటరాక్టివ్ సెషన్ కావడం వల్ల మీ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఇమీడియట్ గా ఆన్సర్ చేయడం అవుతాయి. మీకు ఏ మాత్రం క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నా కూడా చాట్ బాక్స్ లో టైప్ చేయండి, దాన్ని వెంటనే సార్ ఆన్సర్ చేస్తారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్. నౌ ద ఫ్లోర్ ఇస్ yours.
Thank you so much, Amulya. Can you see the screen now?
Yes sir, yes.
Okay, perfect. This is a very interesting and in a way, rather, you could say very peculiar topic. If you see most of the training sessions and all, this selling is one topic which is never said or never taken as, because basically it's very abstract. I mean, like there cannot be two ways or two people having the same selling methodology. So today what we are trying to see in this whole webinar is some of the concepts, how the customer has changed, how the selling methodology has changed, and various other aspects. So let me ask you one simple question before I start. What is selling? Is it okay? Perfect. So we have the chat box also open here. I can see it. So if I have to ask all the participants here, what is selling according to you? You could just type in your chat box as you wish, and I'm not able to see any answer still coming in. Is the chat box open? Exchange of goods for money is the first answer which I got. So where actually it's more of looks like a transaction where okay, there is something which is given to you, and in that return you may give money. Or we have Manish Kochli who is telling providing the goods which is sequin for money or exchange for money. I think giving and taking. Wonderful. Selling is an art of converting a product into money. So more or less what we're talking about is like, okay, there is something which I'm giving you, in return I'm taking the money. Or Abhijit says selling is making customer buy your product. Interesting. So it's making your customer buy your product. If I would ask you, like, if selling was so easy, where okay, I'm giving you something, and in return you're also giving me something, which is money, then why don't people simply buy it, whatever I have? Because I'm exchanging something for other. Now, this is where effective selling comes into picture. You might see, okay, some people are able to crack the deal much better compared to others, and that is where the effective selling comes into picture. And if I have to, in simple terms, if I have to say, selling is taking an idea, planting the idea in your customer's mind, and making them feel they thought of it. So it's very interesting. I mean, like, actually, you're helping the customer to buy something. Let us look at it in the other from this angle. Like, selling is nothing but helping the customer to buy. And the important part is effective selling. When we talk about it, it's something which has to be in our practice. Am I doing it ethically? That's the underlying point. So moving forward, the second question which I would like to ask is why people buy. If I'm selling it, but why people buy it, a product or service or whatever we talk about today. And there are various reasons. And if you have to just list a few, the first one is gain. So what I mean by gain is basically it will reduce their cost or time or tax or any sort of a benefit they are getting out of that. There is a second set of people who actually buy for the sake of pride, like the cars, the costly phones. It's more of a status symbol. They just want to show off all across. Okay, this is something which I own or I possess. Or third could be a reason for buying would be fear also, like security devices. If I lose some valuables or like insurance or any specific things, because fear of losing is there with them. People also buy because of imitation. They're copycats, like their friend have bought, so they also want to buy, or their peers have bought, or somebody has bought something, so I just want to have that same thing, and for that reason we buy. There could be the fifth reason also, which is a pleasure. It's luxury, comfort, and all. Need not be like a person can have a regular phone and do all the activities, but they just want to be luxurious and they buy some additional what do you call like uh, products for the pleasure or comfort or luxury. So people buy for all these reasons, and there is a contrary to this also. Why people don't buy? Because if people buy all these things, then they should buy everywhere. But many times you see, even if you are trying to sell, but people don't buy. And if that is the case, then what could be that? Then there are simple 4 5 reasons. First one is basically they don't need, like whatever you have, they may not buy it. Or second is that product is not of help to him. Or there might be a reason where the people don't have trust on your product or service. Or there is no hurry, they can postpone it. Like, okay, I don't require at this moment, so that let me just see it, like if I can postpone this particular thing for future date. Then also people may not buy. So in this scenario, people buy for various reasons, people don't buy for a various reason. And you being the owner of your business and you being the sales champion, how exactly you can increase your probability of selling more is what we are going to discuss through various angles. But before we start, let's try to understand this slide. Today's customer is not the same customer what we had earlier days. If you go 15 20 years back, the only medium of sales would have been a customer coming to your store, or you sending a catalog to him and he selects something, or maximum it could be telephone or a post of what do you say, purchase order through seeing your products and all. But now the era has changed. Today the customer, if we talk about, he is bombarded with the information, he is bombarded with various channels today through which he can buy. Today if you talk about a toothpaste to be bought, he can buy from a social media network, or he can go to next store and buy it, or he can actually buy from various social media platform also. Today if you see most of the social media platform, either they are selling the products or they are actually forcing you. That is called as call to action. They're actually, I would not say forcing, they're actually uh, persuading you to buy something. There are various online marketplaces which are available through which actually you can buy the product, or there is a word of mouth which actually goes from person to person, and that is the reason customer buys. Social media is playing a big role today. If you talk about it, products might be different and different categories and each does not fit. But if you see, predominantly there is a huge influence of social media in the buying behavior of a customer. So today, a customer, whenever he decides to buy or purchase something, it might be very rare he will jump on to shop directly. What he will do is he will just Google it out and find out what is the product, what is the price, which are all the different platforms where it is available, which is the nearest store where can I buy, or is it available online through other stores? What is the benefit I'm getting in? So in a nutshell, the customer is much more informed today than we had earlier. So where the selling skill was much more of importance to make the buying decision for a customer. But today the customer has a lot of information which is coming in from various sources, which actually influences his buying decisions. So this is about the customer. What are all the different channels which are available through customers? Suppose like this is something very important to understand, and I'll just spend some time here. No need of understanding the whole terminology, but what we say, like earlier, as I say, the single channel. If you see here the first category, let me just use my pen here. Earlier days, this is what a typical way of selling the goods, the products or service has been, which is called as traditional approach or brick and mortar approach, where people come to your shop, they select the product and then they buy it. And the customer will have experience and single touch point. What I mean by that is the seller and the customer are seeing face to face. There might be a salesman, and then the deal happens. But what happened after that is people started doing multi-channel. When I say multi-channel, it is not through one channel, but through different channels. The sales started happening. It could be as simple as telephone order through call centers and all, where actually a lot of products and services are being sold, or through websites, through online stores. Uh, One thing which is majorly working in Indian context today, especially for the sales and repeat sales, is sales through WhatsApp. I mean, like the seller goes on sending the different deals, offers, and information, and people are able to buy it from there. Uh, there are online platforms which are available through which we can buy today. So there are various channels through which people are able to buy the product. So this is the second approach, which is called as multi-channel sales. Then came the third variant, which is called as cross-channel. So you could ask, what is the difference between cross-channel and multi-channel? In principle, more or less both are same, but in a way, when the customer comes into picture, it is more or less integrated in nature. What I mean by that is whether the customer buys through their online platform or he buys from, say, a store or through catalog, the customer gets the unified experience. But at the sales level or at the organization level, these three different channels are maintained separately. So customer has one experience, but the organization works at a three different level. You could see many of the organizations which will say we have an online sales division which is separate, we have a in-store sale division, or there is a catalog or other mediums of sale. So different departments are there at organization and they sell through different mediums. The customer may see the unified information. But my friends, the future which is there is omni-channel. Now, omni-channel is unified experience. No matter from which platform you come, the customer gets the same experience. Whether he goes to the store, he buys online, he goes to catalog or social media platform or anywhere. From all the sources, the customer gets the same experience. And in the sales organization side, everything is integrated. I mean, like the organization can see in the real time from which way the sale is coming in. So if you see whether it is a small organization or big organization, in the days to come, my friends, when I say in the days to come, next 2-3 years, 5 years down the line, almost all the stores, all the businesses, or predominantly majority of the businesses, will move to omni-channel mode. It might look little what do you call little heavy to digest at this moment, but the way things are happening and the way these marketplaces are coming and helping the small businesses, every business will move on to omni-channel mode, where they will have the in-store sale, they will have online sale, they may have the sales which is influenced from social media and other mediums, and they will be able to have unified view. And I'll explain about this as I move forward. Please feel free to, I think the hosts are unmuted. So if you have anywhere to ask any questions, please feel free to stop me and ask the question, and I'll be taking the questions immediately. So you could have the chat room also seen. Let's move forward. So these are the different mediums of sales through which the sales can happen. Now, today our focus is just to talk about how can I be an effective salesperson, or how my organization can be an effective salesperson, whether I'm doing a turnover of 2 lakh rupees or 2 crores, it doesn't matter. But the fundamental concepts do remain same whichever channel you take. And I'll try to explain that as I move forward, whether you are selling online or whether you are selling in person or through other mediums, the fundamental concepts of your sales will always remain same. And let us try to understand that so that it will make it clear. So let's go into a little bit of a psychology here. Why does a customer buy? Yes. Go ahead,
Sir,
Amulya.
we have a doubt in our chat box. The difference between the cross and omni. Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead. I can listen.
Someone wanted the clarification.
It seems that the same cross and omni channel. Can you please explain? Okay. So what the Manish is asking is, what is the difference between omni channel and multi channel? In principle, if we talk about the channels, both are same, but the organization works differently. When I say their backend system of organization, in the multi channel, they're selling through different channels, but those channels are not integrated. For example, organization may have a separate department which is selling through online, a separate department which is selling through in stores. There might be a separate department which might be doing through catalog selling or anything else. But all these channels are not integrated together as a single system, or you could say a backend system or ERP system or whatever you call about, where everything is not unified together. But once you bring everything together, then it becomes an omni channel. So there is no major difference as far as customer sees it, but as far as the organizations, the way they do it separately. Let's move forward. So my question was what the customer buys, and the simple answer is the customer buys only two things: either good feelings or a solution to a problem. This looks very interesting. I'm just coming out to the product now. So when you see any specific customer or whenever he's doing a purchasing, for example, he buys a Coca-Cola. Now, why does he buy Coca-Cola? The answer is basically he's thirsty or he feels good by having it. Or you could say, okay, why the customer buys a toothpaste? To make sure like he's able to solve the problem of his bad breath, or like to keep his teeth healthy. Or using why he buys some specific clothes or shoes or machinery or anything. So you could always classify any product he buys into two categories: either it is giving him good feeling, like having expensive clothes, jewelry and so many other things, or the products which actually can solve his particular problem, like a washing machine. So what washing machine does, it helps him in washing his clothes, or say a television which could entertain him, or it could be an insurance or whatever you call about. So the customer buys for two reasons: one is good feeling or a solution to problem. And as we move forward, we'll see that into action. So as a selling, there is a golden rule which I spoke in the beginning also. Okay, selling in a dictionary terms, you could say exchange of goods and services is sold. But effective selling is something where actually you are able to help the customer to buy the product and making sure that he feels like he has bought it. So the golden rule is, if you have to become an effective salesperson, what we need to do is, remember this golden rule: people hate to be sold. They don't want to be sold on anything, no matter how hard you try. uh, they don't love being sold, but they love to buy. You would have seen enormous examples all across in your life where actually you see so many people coming and bombarding you with all sort of different offers, products, insurance policies, weight loss schemes and so many other things, and they are bombarding you. But have you seen like how much attention you are able to gain when somebody tries to push something to you, and how you feel when you want to buy something? And this is where the whole concept of helping the customer to buy comes into picture. If we want to become an effective salesperson or salesman, what is required as a integral quality of us is how we can be so effective in helping the customer to buy. And that will make all the difference. You see so many successful uh, uh, salespeople are able to close the deals. The real beauty lies in the way they navigate and they help the customer to make the right decision and make them feel that they have actually decided it, they want to buy it. And this is where the whole philosophy lies across. Let's move forward. So uh, I just want to put forward here two concepts of a product. So if you take a product, there will be two aspects to it. One is the value, or you could say business value or value of that product, and second would be feature and option. So when I say value, value in simple terms is how useful this particular product is to me. Vis-a-vis the feature and option is what all the great or super feature what this particular product has. Let's try to take example. Uh, you talk about a television. Now, if you talk about the television, the value will be okay. I can entertain myself, or I can watch movies, or I can spend time with my family watching TV, or whatever it might be. And then the second part comes is features and option, which might be like, okay, this is uh, 4K TV with this feature, that feature. These are the additional options which are available within, and all the bells and whistles and everything and all. Now, uh, it becomes very fascinating for a seller to talk about the features and options and all. But what buyer buys actually is the value what he's getting out of it. whether he will be using those particular features and all, will actually define what the customer will buy. So any product you take, there is a differentiation which has to be made. Okay, what is the value I'm getting out of it, and what are all the features and options this particular product has. And as we move forward, we'll talk in detail about these two things. But for at this moment, let us understand there is a concept called value, which is the benefit which the customer is going to get out of this particular product, and feature and option is something which is the characteristics of that product, and this particular product has this feature in that. And there are two types of selling skills. So when I say selling skills, because this whole session is all about selling, so we started with art of selling, and if I have to mention, there are two types of selling skills. One is called as hard skills of selling, which is predominantly your product knowledge, your expertise about the product, or your field of service. For example, the what all the benefits that particular product can have, whether you sell it or you have manufactured it or you're getting it from outside. So all the knowledge about your product and your industry. And second part is the soft skill, which is more to do, which you could say as a human skills or selling skills or customer relationship skills, or all the other things which you could put in these parameters. So hard skill is something which has to be actually mastered by each and every person who is there in sales. Because if you don't know your product well, then you'll not be able to sell effectively in the market, because we should be able to handle all the queries, all the questions and objections which the customer is asking in, okay, whether he should buy the product or not. And soft skill is something which is more on the softer side, which actually will enhance your probability of selling it. So today we will focus only on the soft skills, but hard skill, as I told, is very important whichever business you are into. If you know your business, you know your product, and you know your customer's requirement of why this product is useful, that actually helps a lot in selling your product. So two characteristics of the product, which is the value and the features and option, two types of skills, which are hard skills and soft skills. And there are two types of salesmen, or you could say sales personas. So all the people are not same. There is a category of people who are called as hunters, and there are a second category of people who are farmers. Now, what is a hunter? So if we talk about a hunter is somebody who just goes on for hunting. He will go on finding out the new customers, first customer, second customer. He is impatient in nature. He just wants to make new sales very fast. But like he does not spend more time on a single customer or something like that. So there are a set of people who by nature are hunters. And then there are a set of people who are farmers. When I say farmers, they believe more on the relationship building, sowing the sales, what is it like, spending time with the customer, building the relationship, slowly getting the same repeat business from the same customer and all. Now, you as a person, it's a great idea to classify yourself in either of these two. Like, are you more of a go-getter type of a person who actually wants to just do the sales on a rapid scale, or you're of the second category who more believes in relationship building, farming it, and slowly like harvesting the whole your sales, and then you do it. Is there any question coming in? Chali. So in your mind, you could just classify yourself, and it's very easy. So based upon your philosophy, you will be able to classify yourself in one or another, and we'll see this also as we move forward. So we spoke about so many things. Okay, these are the methodologies and all, and whether I'm a hunter or farmer or something. Now let's come to the soft skills of doing sales. Now, for example, if I say you have to do sales, for that the first and foremost requirement is, or whom will you sell? So the answer will be, okay, whoever needs a particular product or service, those are the probable customers who will buy my product or service. Now, how do you as a salesperson supposed to find out what will be of a great value to potential customer the first time you meet them? Because majority of the time it happens like, okay, you as a customer, you as a salesman or businessman, for the existing customer, it's not a problem. But when you talk about a new customer, you got a referral and all. How will you find out that whether my product or service will be useful to him? Yes, any answers? I'm just seeing my chat room. So this is one question. How will you find out? Yes, Shivali, you told farmer sales reps are engaged to sell only to the loyal customers. I would not say only to loyal customers. He will build the relationship and do it. The question on the screen is how will you find out like whether the customer will be your product or service will be of a great value to the potential customer. Okay, I think there is some time which is taking in for reply, so I'll give the answer itself to save the time. So it's very simple. You ask questions. So as a salesman, based upon your the way of business. Say for example, if you're into retail, it's everything is like unified. Okay, like you have a retail store and customer comes and he asks for something, or you position your product to them and you're able to sell. And there could be some businesses which actually takes a lot of time to conclude. For example, insurance policy or selling a property or any particular service and all, which may not happen in single sitting or single visit. So the sales cycle might be a few minutes to a few years also, based upon which type of business you are into. The foundational principles, again, as I reiterate, will always remain same. And I have Manish Kohli who is responding, knowing his demand, spending power. So how will you find out the customer's demand? Or Satish who is telling in interact with the customer and customer profile. Absolutely, you will try to ask the questions. You will try to find out from the customer. So here I'm just taking a little distinction, as I say, a selling skill. So for impulse buying, this may not apply. For example, you're a grocery shop and somebody comes and asks you for, say, some pulses or dal or rice and all. Then it is more of customer has a need and he's coming and asking you directly or selling him. So this sales cycle may not apply here because there is a need already. Their customer has come with that need and you're selling it. But let us take an example of some of the products where actually there is a sales cycle. Or say, for example, you are a textile showroom and somebody has come to buy the sari for his wedding or some suit, or if you are a car dealer or if you're a property dealer or insurance dealer, and you actually meet a customer and you want to find out whether the customer will be interested or not. So questions, interviews, contests, and all definitely. JC Funny has replied. So you ask question, but can we have some good questions to ask so that our probability of selling can be better? And that's what we will try to see in the next section, which is called as probing. So probing is nothing but questioning, and questioning is a great skill of a salesman to find out whether the potential customer will be interested in buying your product or service or not. There can be two types of probing. Probing is asking question. So one could be open probe, like who wants it, or when do you want, or what you want, or why do you want, and questions like that, which actually in principle will give you some or other answers for whatever you want to give. Or then can be a second way of close probing, which is very powerful to get either the limited choice answer like yes or no. Let me give an example of close probing. For example, do you have an insurance policy? The customer will say either yes or no. Or do you have, will you be interested in multiplying your money? So the answer has to be yes or no. Correct, yes or no. So this is the way you can actually ask the questions and try to find out more about the customer. So the hunters will be straightforward, farmers will be slow and steady. So they will start with simple questions and then they'll move on. So these are the two types of questions. How do you ask the questions? We all are bombarded with multiple types of the sales reps, you could say, from all walks of life, where you see some people just calling in and asking in, sir, do you want a credit card? Or sir, do you want weight loss, this thing? Or do you want loan and all these things? And most of the time, the direct question may not give the yield to them, but they have been trained like them, they do it. But a successful salesman will use a methodology for asking the questions also. And my friends, I'm giving a simple methodology which is called a spin. Spin is a technique of asking the questions to increase your probability of spelling for asking the right questions and getting the answer. So what is this spin? Spin is something where actually you bounce back the question to the customer, and based upon his responses you actually move forward. So the spin is divided into four types of questions. So whenever you start probing or asking the customer, the first spin is acronym for SPIN. So first could be the situational questions, second is problem questions, implication questions, and need payoff questions. I'll explain one by one what exactly it is. So it is always a great idea, okay, whenever you meet a customer, I'm talking about where the sales cycle is little large, say a day or a week or something. In the first sitting itself, the sale may not happen. Then suppose, let me just take an example of insurance agent for the sake of simplicity so that we can understand. One approach is straight away ask, do you have a policy? Do you want the policy? I give a policy. Or second is just try to build the context for that. So we don't talk directly about the topic. I'm here to sell the insurance policy, but what you could say is, okay, now the corona is happening in India, or what is the situation here? How is your family? Is it safe or something, which could be of interest to the customer or the other person, so that he is giving his time to you to talk. So the right thing is, it could be a situation, it could be situation which could be important for the customer. So that is how you build a rapport with the customer, and then you're able to talk to him. So once the situational interaction has started, you could straight away jump on to some sort of the real problem which you're trying to solve, which is basically your product. So your product will either solve a problem or it will give a good feeling. So whatever it is, for example, you say, the moment you say the situational questions are there, you jump onto the problem questions, which could be, have you planned for the future of your child study? Or have you planned for your retirement? Now, here we're talking about a problem, and the customer has a choice to either say yes or no, because whether he has planned it or not. Or you could put it forward with some examples of somebody who actually has the similar problem, instead of directly telling him like, whether you have done it. Mr. Gupta or Mr. Rajesh had this problem of his son is 10 year now, and after 10 years he'll become he might be going to higher studies or college or something like that, and for that at this moment he does not have a plan. So there is a problem which we're talking about, and immediately the moment the problem is accepted, we actually can jump on to the implication of that problem. When I say implication of that problem, what I mean by that is, if this problem is there, what will happen to this particular person? For example, the question could be, if tomorrow your son wants to go for higher study, and if you don't have money, what will happen? Or if this particular problem is not solved, then what will be the trouble you will face? Uh, so implication is nothing but the result of that problem if it is not solved. So that is the third thing which actually we bring in. And the moment the customer is convinced, okay, okay, there is a problem which I may face in the future, and if I don't solve this problem, then this is the implication of that problem which may have to face. It could be implication, it could be a consequence. And if that consequence is coming, then the fourth consequence is established. And this is what the loss you may incur if you're not able to do it. Then you can go on the fourth one, which is the need payoff, or I would say the solution questions. How about um, solving this problem through this? And here, once the problem is established, there is an implication which you have spoken about, and then if you talk about, okay, this is the solution through which you will be able to solve this problem. Let me give an example of insurance itself. You started with whether you have secured your family way forward. He says no. What happens if you die tomorrow is second thing, where actually where you give some examples and all. And suppose if you have the third, which is need payoff, and there you say, okay, suppose if something unfortunate happens to you, then your family will get this and all, or any other example which you want to give. Then there is a solution which also you are putting in forward. This approach of going one by one will actually build a good rapport for you to make the customer listen to you and what we say like go with your flow. So this is the spin technique of asking the questions. Let's move forward. So the questioning becomes a very important skill of a salesperson. The better the questions you are able to ask, better the guidance you'll be able to give to the other person. At the same time, better you'll be able to understand the customer and his requirement. And the better the requirement is understood by you, the better your sales conversion will happen. So spin technique we spoke about. Let's move forward on now the real selling process. So they say like as we spoke in the beginning also, customer hates to be sold, but he loves to buy. If that is the scenario, then you as a salesman, can you become a customer centric seller so that you put forward the interest of the customer first when you sell, so that the customer feels like he has bought it and not that you have sold it. So so with this, we will just move forward on the concept of what is customer centric selling or what are the different processes of customer centric selling. So if you talk about a sales cycle where you have multiple uh, days, or you could say multiple sittings are required for converting a sale, like you want to buy a car or you want to buy a specific um, uh, policy, or you want to buy a TV, fridge, or anything as such, where customer does not buy in one time, or maybe like whatever service or product you have. I understand most of the members here come from very varied background. So based upon your business, the product may have its own sales cycle, but there is a methodology of having effective sales concluded. And I'll briefly talk about those steps, or what we call as the sales stages. So if you say on a retail, when a person comes to your shop, he comes, he asks for a product, you search, the product is available, you give, or you give an alternate product, and you take the money, and the business is over. But on the larger sales cycle setting, there might be multiple days involved before a sales happen. You may give demo, you may give sample, then it may go for approval, and so many things may happen. So we are talking on a bigger sales cycle in the coming slides. Let's move forward. So let me say like how many stages are there in a sales cycle. So these are some of the well-known, well-defined sales stages which are there in a sales cycle. Somewhere all will be merged together as single transaction, as I told in retail or a store, or they all can be defined as a separate stages. So the first one is prospecting, where actually you don't know about the customer, but actually you try to find out the customer who might be interested in your product. It could be like a cold calling, finding the referrals, you go to BNIs and all the places to find out who is the customer who might be probable of buying my product. Second is goal identification. Third is qualification. Fourth is champion. Fifth is prove value. Sixth is negotiating. And seventh is won and lost. So from prospecting, where you find out a customer, you may end up doing a sale with him, or you may lose the sale. So these are the different stages in between of total sales. And as we move to the each of these sections, we will see in little depth. I mean, like selling is it's almost like 2-3 days you can speak about this thing, but I'm trying to put forward everything so that you're able to take most out of it. So what is prospecting? Prospecting is something which is more to do with finding out your customer. So one is you don't know the customer, but if you have to find out the customer, there are various mediums through which you can find out whether uh, there are customers available or not. And the classic examples are the referrals, mailing, your WhatsApp advertisement, meeting the customer, taking the referrals from people, cold calling, sending the emails, promoting your product through social media and different platforms so that customers come to know and all. Here, the objective is to find out a person who might be interested in our product. We are not sure whether we'll be able to sell or not, but this is the stage where actually we are trying to build our lead, or they call it as a funnel. Sales funnel is what they are trying to build, so that uh, out of, say, it could be different conversion based upon different types of profiles, but different types of business. But in simple terms, suppose if you meet 100 customers, there could be a probability you may end up doing business with 5 or 10 or 20 based upon the type of product or service which you sell. Prospecting is finding out the potential customer. Here we don't know anything about that customer, whether he will buy or not. But somehow we just identify that this is the customer whom we can meet, and there is a possibility that we can do the same. And I must put here one thing. Never, this famous quote is that never judge a book by its cover. So never judge a person by his appearance or what he looks like. You don't know who will be your best customer or most profitable customer. But at this moment, you are just trying to find out okay, which all the probable customers are there, and you collate them. This is the first stage. The second stage is goal identification. The goal word I have specifically put is just to validate that after you got the referral or after you got this customer's name, for example, okay, Dilip Jain is one person who might be interested in your product. So you got his phone number, address, or referral from somebody. So you have to qualify from your side whether this customer, why this customer will buy. Is there any business problem? Is there any need for this person? They say a classic example, ganje ko tangi mat becho. What I mean by is like suppose if somebody is a bald, there is no reason you going and selling him a comb because he's not going to buy. So whatever sales skill you have, you will not make any sense because there is no requirement for him. So we need to find out, is there any requirement for that person? Is there any need? And you have to relate with these two things. The people buy either to feel good or to solve any problem. So if any of these two the scenarios are getting fulfilled, that means there is a goal, there is a need for that person. If it will make him feel good or if it is solving his problem, then that person is the right candidate for your product or service. No goal means there is no prospect. I mean, like there is no need for a particular person to for your product, then there is no prospect, and no prospect means no sale. So it is very important the moment you get a referral, you are able to find out whether the need is there for that customer or not. Otherwise, you'll just go on hunting customer by customers, draining your energy, and you'll not be able to figure out whether that customer will buy from you or not. So they say losing a customer early is a good trait of a salesman. If you feel like this customer may not buy in future, don't spend that energy on that customer trying to fulfill that. So when I say whether he buy or not is different thing, but whether he needs your product or service is something which you should be able to determine at this place. If the customer needs, for example, if you are selling uh, kids wear, now it does not make any sense to talk to the people who does not have kids. I'm just giving some generic examples, but you could put forward in your own ways. So goal identification can happen through multiple things, as I spoke about. You can do probing. Is there any need which the customer has? The customer may not know everything, whether his need is not need is there or not. But if you feel like the customer has a need, like in the case of, I'm just giving the example for the sake of simplicity of insurance. The customer may not see a need of insurance, but if you feel like this customer is a right candidate for that insurance, then you know that there is a need. So it need not be the customer has to explicitly say his need, but if you believe that this customer will benefit from my product or service, then also the need is there. Or you could find out from him, you could actually explicitly figure out, or you could ask the question. But what is important is whether if as a smart salesman, you will not tell the customer whether you want this. You will help the customer to discover he needs this. This is basically something which the customer has a requirement, and as a successful salesman, if you're able to create that need in him, your job is done. So second stage is where you identify the goal. Okay, the customer has a need. The third stage is called as goal confirmed or qualification. So once the need is established, that means you see that customer or that person who actually has a requirement for your product or service. So second stage is whether the customer has a need. Third stage is goal confirmation or qualification. When I say qualification, qualification is something which actually you do from your side, whether you want to do business with him. Let me give example like you understand that there is a customer who actually needs a specific product or service. But what is important for you is whether you want to do business with him or not. It could be for whatever reason, his payment cycle, his reputation, or he may not buy. You don't feel like you'll be able to sell to that customer, or it could be any reason. But this is the stage where actually you also qualify from your side. Okay, we are also fit, or we are ready to sell to that customer. Now this becomes very important. Many times it happens because there is a need from the customer, and if you find out that this customer is not the right customer for you or your organization, don't waste the time. Don't spend your time on the wrong leads, because ultimately it has to be qualified, or they say you choose your customer whom you want to do business with. It all depends on industry to industry. Again, most of the chartered accountants who are there in this group, you will agree with me in qualifying the customers whether they want to work with them or not. So this is the third stage where actually we qualify the customer. Uh, if you have qualified the customer, the sale may not happen, may or may not happen with a bigger sales cycle deals. Let me just give an example of a property deal, or some product which you want to sell into a organization or a multinational or a big corporation or a government office and all. So there is the fourth stage which is called as champion, or the champion stage is simply, you could say, "Okay, where exactly my sales cycle is at this moment." What I mean by champion is somebody who is the influencer of buying decision. I mean, like, he is the person who will actually uh, decide whether the product has to be sold, bought or not. Many a cases you will seek, like, you might be promoting your product, you might be speaking to so many people and all, but you have not reached to the decision maker, then your sale will not happen. And these champions could be anybody. When I say champion, I put it champion is, you might be talking to, say, somebody who looks like a business owner, and you're trying to push your product to them, but the business owner will always depend on his employee X or Y, or his operator or manager or son or somebody who actually takes the decision. Now it is important for us to first convince that person that, okay, okay, like, this product is there, because if that person is not convinced, your champion is not convinced, then no matter how hard we try, the sale may or may not happen. So the moment you find out, like, there is a need, you also qualified, you want to sell to that particular customer, the next thing what we have to see is basically, have we identified the champion and have we pitched into him? Because talking to a right person becomes very, very important in your selling cycle. Otherwise you might be spending a lot of time in that. Okay, somebody is asking, can you speak Hindi or English? मैं सिंपल लैंग्वेज में बोल रहा हूँ, हिंदी चाहिए तो मैं थोड़ा ऐड कर दूंगा, बट आपको कोई स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट पता नहीं चलता है, feel free to ask at the end and I'll repeat that once again. ठीक है, because I think the zone 4 is predominantly I think Telugu speaking, so they may not understand Hindi much. So I will try to have most of my conversation in English, but if required, you please feel free to ask the question. I'll answer that. Okay. So champion stage is clear, where actually you are identifying that he is the decision maker. This is the person, through him only I can have my uh, the sale getting over. So first was prospecting, second was goal identification, third was a goal confirmation, or you could say qualification from your side. So once you are qualified, you directly jump on to find out the right person whom to deal with. Sometimes it might be easy, sometimes you may have to take layers to reach the right person. So you start with the junior manager there, and then you reach to the person who might be able to take the decision. But influencing or like convincing the champion is the most important part of the sale. If the champion is not convinced, then it will not happen. Let me give one more example. You might be selling some home appliances. Now, who is the champion? The champion is the housewife. Now, no matter how much you tell to the husband, "Okay, this is the best product, this is the new mixie, or this is a new washing machine," unless the housewife is convinced, the business is not going to happen. So, the champion is the influencer or decision maker who will decide the product to be bought or not. So, in the sales cycle, it becomes very important for us to find out that champion, and we communicate with that champion our product and benefit. So once the champion is identified and you are able to reach to the champion, we'll go to the next stage, which is called as prove value. Now you identified all the four stages. Now prove value is something where actually you're proving the value of your product to the customer. So what I mean by that is, this is where your sales cycle actually starts, because this is where it will be taken seriously. Before that, whatever you bombard them with the messages, I have this, that, feature, benefit and all, it will not make sense if the customer is not interested, call is not there, he does not need your product, or the right person is not there in place. Then whatever the energy you spend in doing the activities may not yield more result. But once the champion is there, once the right people are there, then you can talk about the benefits of your product, you can give the demo of your product, you can talk about the features, the benefits, whatever the customers, how he is going to benefit, and all the other things. Here, the important part is prove value means this is of benefit to the customer, how the customer is going to benefit out of this product. And this is the stage where the customer will decide whether he has to go with your product or not. So it becomes very important for us to stress on what is the value they are getting in. As I said earlier, the value is different from features and benefits. Features and options. Features and options are something which are there in your product. The value is something which the customer will get out of this product. For example, we have spoken about various examples, what is the value and what is features and benefit. So focus on how it is going to benefit the customer is the one, and flow with the customer's flow. Whatever the customer is seeking for, try to talk about that. If the customer is not very particular about a specific feature and all, we don't have to explain everything to the customer. What might be of benefit to him is what we need to explain. And the classic example is the advertisements which you see on the TV. In the TV, you will never see any advertisement which will talk about the features. They always talk about the benefit, what you're going to get out of this product. And that is how our approach should be when we try to sell. There might be a technical department where we have to show the technicalities, but technicalities should always be attached with what the benefit this particular technical thing will give you. Correct. So antibacterial, for example, might be one feature. So antibacterial being part of the feature is not important, but antibacterial as a feature in your air conditioner, you can explain, okay, in the viruses and all, it actually stops them from recirculating in the air conditioner. Now you're talking about a benefit of that particular product. Convince the customer on the benefits, which is called as need payoff. So proving the value is the stage where actually you are proving why you are worth to buy from to the customer, and if customer is convinced, then the sales will proceed forward. And if you are not able to convince the customer, no matter how hard you try, it will not go forward. So once the prove value is there, the next stage is called as let me just say it, negotiation, which we have seen in, if the customer likes the product, then only he will talk, or you should talk about the pricing. It becomes very impulse selling. Sometimes it happens like people feel like, okay, let me just first give the pricing and all. Unless the customer sees the value, pricing does not make any difference. So once the value is proved and customer is convinced that okay, he wants to buy your solution, then you can talk about the pricing, and pricing and benefits go hand in hand. So now the customer will be more interested in buying your product. So there's a famous quote from Warren Buffett, and he says, price is what you pay, value is what you get. So price is what you pay, value is what you get. Now customer, when you talk about a customer always sees how much value I am getting for the product which I have sold. And a classic, if I have to give a formula for that, is if I buy a Coca-Cola bottle from a store, which is say 20 rupees, and I'm thirsty. So what is the value of that bottle? In terms of price, it is 20 rupees, for example. What is the value? So there might be different answers for different products. But if you see a simple formula which has been defined, is value is something what you get divided by what price you pay. For example, if you see, I am paying 100 rupees. So am I getting 100 rupees worth of product? then that becomes your value. Say for example, you're getting 100 rupees worth of product, and your price is 100 rupees, then the value is 100 divided by 100. But suppose if you say I am getting a value of product worth 120 rupees and my price is 100 rupees, then how much you are getting? 1.2 is your value. Or it could be reverse also sometimes, where you pay premium. For example, you buy a ticket in black, or you pay premium. Then for a product which is of 100 rupees, you might be paying 120. Then the value what you're getting is 0.8. So unless it is an urgency or need of the hour, the customer always tend to see the more value of everything what they sell for. In simple terms, if you see all these offers and schemes and all, you see all across running in, and companies are making big money. Simple reason is somewhere they show buy two get one free, or 20% extra, 10% extra, buy this and you get this free and all. So somewhere they're actually in a way trying to show the customer that you are getting more value for the price what you're paying in. So whatever business we're into, when you're negotiating, it's very important for us to show to the customer that what that extra value he's getting for the price he's paying. And this can be a good prompter for you when you do the negotiation. I will not go much deep into the negotiation skills at this moment, but negotiations is something where actually all these things will come into picture. And there could be a possibility sometimes, like when the customer negotiates for a pricing and all, he may have some objections and all, obstacles or objections or something before buying in. Then how do we handle this? Is we give them more reasons, more benefits, more value what you're trying to showcase to them, why they should have, and give the good feeling. So this will help the customer decide whether he has to buy or not. Now we went on from stage 1, we reached stage 5, which is negotiation. Once the champion is there, then the pricing is given, and now the negotiation comes into picture. Now good salesman is a great negotiator also. Can he get the best value for his company for whatever he has sold? And there are different I'm here just putting forward some tips which you could use as a salesman so that it can benefit you in your sales this thing. The first, and the problems with the negotiation, most of the people is like, uh, people tend to drop the price immediately the moment you see like the order coming in. We tend to drop the pricing, or giving without getting. So when I say over giving without getting, the moment the customer asks for some discount or reducing the price, we just give it as it is. The approach should be like, do I get something in return when I'm giving? It could be one more referral, it could be some other more business. Say for example, you're asking 100 rupees and customer says I'm paying 90. So instead of selling say unit 1, can you sell unit 1.1 or 1.2? So instead of say 10 kg, you're able to sell more with the whenever you reduce the price. So you are giving something and you are getting also. Third could be negotiating with the non-decision makers. This is one common pitfall. Like never ever negotiate with the people who are not able to take the decision, because anyway your sales is not going to happen. Allowing the price to be only variable. If we are negotiating on a table and price is the only variable, then you lose, because the customer will directly compare with all the different options which are available to him, and whichever is the lowest which he can go for. So always make sure along with the price, these are some other benefits which the customer is getting, and he is able to stick on to you. Being subservient throughout the sales cycle. When I say subservient is not having the authority with the customer. I mean, like as you said in the beginning, you are giving something and you are taking something. You are helping the customer to buy something. That does not mean you just listen to him whatever he says, or you just be more of submissive in nature. Because if you are submissive in nature, then customer will command. So as a salesperson, we should be at an equal level, or you could say win-win situation. Meeting multiple times as price erodes. It's something like if the prices are reducing or increasing, you meeting multiple times and you show your desperation to close. No proactive plan to get best price. So this is basically, sometimes you don't have a plan to negotiate with the person, or you don't have the best price planning nature. Then also like you may go on reducing the price. Difficulty in tolerating silence. So this is something like sometimes the customer becomes silent. He's not talking anything. So immediately we reduce the price. And the last one is premature closure. When I say give some time. Sometimes if you want to sell and negotiation is happening and customer is not ready at the price, if it is possible for you, give some time and he may come back. Go on giving more reasons to buy, and your chances of selling it becomes more better on that. So this is the last stage. So we spoke about the sixth stage, and last stage is if the pricing and everything goes right, then either you will win the deal or you may lose the deal. So these are the 7 steps, and if you win, then definitely the sale is yours, and if you lose, then go back and analyze. But at the same time, once you win the deal, try to try to tell the customer multiple times he has got the best value, what are all the benefits he has got. Give him the good feeling and discuss the pricing again and again if it is required. But share with the peers what went right and what went wrong. So closing a deal is not as important as actually sharing that, so that next time you're able to learn from that particular thing. And once the closing is there, the next stage which comes is having the farming. So once the relationship is built, can you take the referral from this customer, go to the next stage and all. So my friends, these were the 7 stages. As I told in the beginning also, there might be a possibility that all the stages are together. For a smaller sales cycle, it can be bigger if you have a larger sales cycle. But a short way is there where actually you can actually go stage by stage to qualify your lead, and you can become an effective salesperson. Now we spoke about the stages, we spoke about multiple things, but let us try to speak about the today's scenario, and which is called as customer relationship management. It has become very predominant today. Suppose if you want to build the relationship way forward, it has become the most important concept, more important today, because today the customer has a lot of choices available than earlier. Earlier you had a shop in a particular area and the locality was giving the advantage. Customer had a very limited choice. Then he could go to different, he did not had multiple choices to go for. Then we actually could take the customer lightly, but today that is not the case. We need to harvest, we need to farm the relationship, and that is where customer relationship comes into picture. There are various tools available which actually you can use based upon your business. There are some CRM softwares which are there. Most of the businesses in India take care of their financials, their sales, balance sheet, day book, everything very seriously, because they have to put their income taxes, GST and all. But when it comes to customer satisfaction, customers relationship and all, it is not maintained properly. So use a good CRM solutions. Multiple solutions are available, like which based upon your industry and all, you can use it, and try to incorporate all the information, have your interactions stored and in those systems, so that now you can retrieve that and you can have the conversation going on with the customer on regular interval. It could be as simple as sending a birthday greeting or sending some new offers and all, so that you are connected with the customer. And CRM softwares really help. There are multiple softwares available. So my dear friends, I'm coming back to my earlier slide once again. The sales model has changed. It is not just uh, brick and mortar, but you have different channels of sale. But the fundamental concepts remain same. Whether you are a multi-channel or omni-channel, whether you go to Amazon.com today, and you will be able to relate whatever I spoke about. When you go to Amazon.com, there is nobody who is selling you. And as I said, customer likes, customer hates to be sold, but he loves to buy. And this is done very well by even the online platforms. They just help the customer to buy. They actually give the feeling to the customer that okay, like this is something which you selected and you bought it. And the platform actually helps them to select the right product which might be of use to them. They actually they do all the prospecting and everything, even though it does not look like. Amazon has more than 5 crore products in their portfolio, but it will show only 10 or 20 or 50 which actually are qualified, or which the engine thinks like might be useful to you. So that's where all the processes happen, and then they give the proof value, the reasoning, the offers and all, and closing happens. And then they ask for referrals and even the reviews of their product, so that other customers can buy in. So sales will not be the same for any business way forward. Whichever business you are into, some way or other you might be having multi channels. It could be web, mobile, social media, store, WhatsApp, Telegram, or any other medium. But only the store sale will not be the way future will work. So future will be more of omni channel. Your product can be sold from anywhere, anytime. And if it is omni-channel, then what becomes important for is our online reputation. I think we have a great session tomorrow on social media and online reputation. So I'll not talk about this now, but what I would like to submit here is online reputation is very important. How people talk about you, how they rate you, and how actually you are seen in this digital world is of predominant importance today. Because the stars which you get on Just Dial or Google or Facebook or wherever defines how probable your customers might be to buy from you. Because the moment a customer decides today to buy something, first thing what he does is he goes to Google or some medium and tries to see. And if your rating is not good, then automatically the customer will jump to the next person. So online reputation is something, online reputation on all the platforms in terms of our ratings and our referrals has to be something which has to be maintained uh, um, to the best. And my final words before I conclude is how you sell matters. What your process is also matters, but how your customers feel when they engage with you matters the most or matters the more. So, how you sell matters. I mean, like, because ultimately you are there in the business because you want to sell, and you have a very good sales cycle in place through which you can enhance your sales. But what will matter is how your customer is feeling in this today's era, because the customer, if he is feeling good, he may talk little, but if the customer is not feeling so good, then he will talk a lot about you to all the mediums. It could be peers, or it could be outsiders, or it could be through different channels also. So as a salesperson, the innate quality what we should have is how we make or make feel our how we make the customer feel about us and how they talk about us is more important. So this is it. Thank you so much once again to the whole host team, Zone 14, for the opportunity given to me. I would be happy to take any questions which you have. Over to you, host. Thank you so much.